Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 12th day of September 2019. Well, I started this once and I lost my way, and I have no idea what I was even talking about. So I'm going to start this all over again and see what we have, and maybe this is what I need to be doing. So, anyway, but I think I got about 14 minutes in, and I'm like, wait a minute. What does that have to do with anything? And I know I'm going to figure it out eventually, but I just sort of lost my train of thought there, so I couldn't get it back. So we're just going to start all over and see what we have here for today. Anyhow, again, it's the 12th day of September, so we're looking at a 3 energy, and that's mind, body, spirit in alignment. That's catalytic energy. That's triplicities. We've got a full moon coming up here. Technically, it's on the 14th, but it's like at 12:33 a.m. So, if you want to celebrate and observe it on the 13th, you sure can on Friday. If you do, then today is the maiden phase of the moon. And if not, it's tomorrow. So it just kind of depends on when you want to do this and observe it if you're going to go out and maybe just draw down the moon's energies, or maybe you're going to work a little magic. We have the autumnal equinox coming up toward the end of the month. It's also known as Mabon in the pagan and witch world. But that's the time when dark and light is at equal lengths, and it's a wonderful time to work magics of balance and new beginnings. So I think I'm probably going to do something that day. I'm going to work on it now, though, and come up with something. And I'll either share it or I won't. If I do, I will over on the blog. Sometimes I do. I'll share the rituals I create, but sometimes I don't. We'll just see. We'll see what the focus ends up being. I think that we're so out of balance these days, though, that with one another, that something's got to happen. And when you do it right there during the exact time of the eclipse, or not the eclipse, but, eclipse magic is another thing we can talk about. But during the equinox, if you do it at exact time, and you do it at a crossroads and all this other stuff anyway, you can really, I think, affect some change and some influence on it. So I think it's just there's times for magic that just seem to be, I don't know, just ripe with opportunity, and equinoxes are one of those times. So anyhow, you have 2 a year, and this is the autumn one, so yay. One of my favorite times of the year. So today the moon's in Pisces. What I talked about on the first attempt at this, I talked about boundaries and relationships. We've got some intercepts going on today, which doesn't always happen. We have Sagittarius is intercepted, so is Gemini, although there aren't any planets in the house, the 8th house that Gemini is intercepted in. But Sagittarius, though, there's Sagittarius on the 2nd house. We've got Jupiter in Ceres. So we're talking about things that have to do with possessions in past lives that we did not, or resources that we did not resolve. Intercepted planets and esoteric astrology seem to have something to do with things that we didn't work out in past lives. And so it gives us an opportunity to think about how we balance all of that and transmute things into something that's better and more aligned in the soul purpose. So one of the things evidently it's suggesting is that we sort of either had a problem with resources and possessions where maybe we defined ourselves by our wealth, possibly, and maybe we weren't so much about nurturing others. And that's, I think, where Ceres comes into play. Ceres is in Sagittarius is talking about how we nurture others and providing the space for that it's not just about the self. And so then in the 8th house, which doesn't have anything in it at the moment, apparently what I think we're talking about there, again, is boundaries in relationships. What do we bring? What kind of resources do we bring on a personal level to, and I'm not talking just money, but how do we relate to other people? What type of a person are we? Are we somebody that's kind and loving, or are we always in conflict with other people? So what kind of resources along that lines are we bringing into relationships today? So might just be something to think about. we're at such odds with one another. You know, yesterday was September 11th, and we talked yesterday about coming together with one another in a way that's more harmonious and seeing people as the other side of self versus the other. That ever since September 11th, you know, we started out that day being so united, and it went on for a little while, and then it didn't, and all kinds of factors weighed in and have basically now we're where we are, right? And the isms of life are more important than the love and the unity. So I think that it was just an interesting thing to see that on the chart. I'll show you what they look like if you've never noticed such things. They appear out where you see the signs on the cusp. So let me see if I can get this here. Oh, okay, here. I'm going to show you this particular one. I can't really show you from the other computer. But, all right, so up here, you see how it's not on, see how these are all on the cusps, right on these lines, right? These are the cusps, right, of the houses. Sometimes you'll see them in the middle. They're not attached to any of the lines, right, if you want to say it like that. So there you have Gemini, and then you have Gemini, you have Sagittarius there, but you see how there's nothing in this house, right? But that's the 8th house, right? And over here you have Ceres and you have Jupiter, right? And that's in the 2nd house, and Sagittarius is intercepted. So you kind of take a look at everything there, and then you think about, well, what do those houses mean? What does the 8th house mean? What does the 2nd house mean? And then you start thinking in terms of, well, what did I not work out in a past life? So you start looking at it that way. And I have to tell you, since I found that example and that description, I think I understand intercepted planets a little bit better, or we're not planets, but intercepted signs a little bit better. So it's kind of interesting. It just sort of lent itself to what we were talking about yesterday and the boundaries that we have with people. So anyway, maybe they're just too defined right now. Maybe we see too many people as the other and not enough as the other side of self. And maybe that's something that humanity has been dealing with perhaps from past lives, because this is not just, you know, a person here and a person there that this is happening to. This is happening on a collective level. So it tells me that this is something that humanity's had an issue with for some time, where we've had an issue with possessions and possessions becoming more important than how we relate to one another, what we own, the whole notion of the caste system of old, and now, you know, it's just about, you know, the class system. The caste turned into class, and so it's just how we've got these barriers between us that really don't need to exist. Yes, there's going to always be people that have more than someone else, but it shouldn't affect our relationships. There should still be the awareness of the self in others. There should still be awareness of all of that, and we've lost it. So that's why I wanted to mention it. It just seemed to dovetail in with what we were talking about yesterday. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get started and take our first card again for the day. Well, we have death, which, did we have that? I think we had that this week already. Death is the 13th card of the major arcana. You're talking about transition and rebirth. Up there next to the horse's head, you see 2 pillars, 2 towers. You see the sun rising between them. That's a recurrent theme again in tarot. The dawn of a new day. Even though the king is dead on the ground and we see people grieving, we see the priest there. We see death riding through. A skeleton clad in battle attire. The transition may be abrupt, it may take time, but it is a transition. You see the white rose of purity up there. 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 5 more in the center. So that's 10. That's new beginnings. A 1 energy there. 13 also reduces to 4, and so you're talking about structure and the foundation. So we're talking about the spiritual transformation. We're letting go of that which no longer serves, and we're moving into something that is new. And so death is actually a very positive card. It doesn't necessarily mean someone's dying, although it could. It can also mean the death of the personality, the death of the ego, and the transition into the light. When you see the sun coming up that large in the background, and it's basically illuminating the entire sky. I'll show you that here. I'll show it one more time. But you can see that the sky is becoming yellow. So basically this is the rise of a new day. But it could also be the rise of spirit and the awareness of spirit, the death of the ego, the dying of the ego into spirit, into soul. And when we talk about resolving relationships, in a sense, that's what we're doing, isn't it? Because when we have difficulties in relationships, it's typically the ego or the personality that's getting the better of us. We're reacting from that state, and we're not looking at the situation through the eyes of spirit or through source vision. So I think with respect to kind of the astrological theme today with the intersected planets, I think that we need to really take a look at our relationships with one another. Are they positive? Are they loving? Do we cherish one another? Or are we continually at odds? If we are, then the death of the personality needs to happen, and the awakening into spirit, I think that's the direction we're going. It's the direction of ascension. Ascension isn't simply about transitioning to a new vibratory state, although it is. It's the transition that we make toward the awareness of who we are as spirit, as souls inhabiting a body. That's the beginning. It's the most important part. If you never understand that, then you're going to have a tough time. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't. Maybe you don't ascend. Maybe you stay here. And instead of transitioning on into, a higher level of experience, perhaps you stay here. It takes that awareness here of who we really are, I think, to begin that process. And I think that the death card is suggesting that. Let's go ahead and do another card, though, and see if we can build on this. Took 15 there. I'll go back to the 13th. Well, the 8 of Cups. Again, we're letting go of that which no longer serves. We are well prepared to meet the challenges. I used to read this as letting go of emotions that don't serve us anymore, and I suppose it's possible, but they're not spilled about on the ground, are they? They're in a pattern. They're upright. It's almost that we've gained all of the experiences we can from that set of emotional beliefs or whatever, and now we're ready to move on to something greater. Again, transitioning perhaps away from the personality level of experience and into a higher self level of experience. You see the crone moon above, signifying wisdom. It rises between essentially two pillars there. You see the two rocks. That are rising up out of the water there. And you can see that he's heading up, can't you? So he's on an upward path. Now, if we continue the theme from death, where maybe we're allowing the personality to die and allowing spirit to take hold. I mean, die is really not the word to use, is it? You're still going to have the ego within. The personality is still there. It just needs to be melded into spirit. and absorbed into spirit. And spirit needs to guide that process. And I think that what you're seeing here, rather than, with the 8, you're looking at a higher level awareness here. And so I don't think that with the cups still upright, I don't think that these are emotions that don't necessarily, it's not that they don't serve you, it's that they've prepared you for the next step, basically. So if you're looking at this from a soul perspective here, it's not that you want to ignore what you've learned from the personality standpoint, from that perspective. It's that you want it to inform your way forward. So if you're rejecting something that's personality based, it's not that you're rejecting it, it's that you're transmuting its effect into spirit, basically. You see? And it's interesting because if you reduce the 13 to 4, 4 and 8 is what? 12, which aligns with today. So again, we're looking at mind, body, spirit alignment. Just in the very nature of that is the transmutation of ego into spirit, isn't it? When you align that, because spirit is what's going to control that pole of energy, if you will. Instead of it all being scattered about, it's just right here. It's in alignment. Be cool if we got the Hanged Man, wouldn't it? Let's do the 3rd card. Well, we have the 10 of Cups. We see a young family, their arms raised in celebration and gratitude. We see the kids dancing, their home off in the distance. The 10 of Cups is about emotional fulfillment, new beginnings. We have a rainbow above with the 10 cups up there, the 10 golden chalices. I see rainbows differently now. I view them as the 7 rays of existence, or of creation, rather. So basically, you have all of the rays of spirit coming in and blessing this family in a lovely arc above their heads as it rains spirit blessings down upon them. And now numerologically, we have a 4, structure, foundation. I think we're going to stop there. And I think I won't do a 4th card. But here's the thing. Let me find my rune bag here. What I think that we have, and I talked about this yesterday, particularly with respect to September 11th. I did a blog post on the blog over at imsteppingaside.com, Stepping Aside, and it was called On the Cusp, and it was for September 11th. And it's to talk about using when, and I use the time of when the first plane hit the first tower. Okay, Flight 11 hit the North Tower. I use that time for the casting and of the chart. And what it seemed to, and what I did is I used all of the house cusp positions. And I looked to see what was there, and the running theme throughout the whole thing was really how do we resolve all of this, whatever we felt between then and now, all of the things that have happened over the course of time, all of the financial things we've had to go through, just the fact that we were attacked. And then of course, whatever you actually think about all that, whether you think we were actually attacked by someone else or whether it was, an inside job. So you have all of that, that people are wondering about. So I think that there's been just a lot of things to think about and to work through. And I think where we are now is in a place where we're no longer aligned with one another. We started out being somewhat aligned. We were all New Yorkers, right, when it happened. But as time went on, the government decided to invoke fear, have everything be predicated upon fear. And you can understand that. It's like, okay, we have to defend ourselves. But the way they all went about it was so suspect. It was just, well, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that for, right? So what ended up happening is we are where we are now, right? We've had a lot of things occur, a lot of struggles, and all of it has ultimately brought us to a point where we're at odds with one another. And as long as we're there, society doesn't move forward. We just sit and fight. We don't look out and see, oh, well, that needs to be taken care of, and oh, that needs to be fixed. We're too busy arguing, right? So what we have here is we see the transition with death, right? The dawn of a new day, the dawn of a new type of balance between us. It doesn't mean we agree all the time. You need the disagreement. You do need that. You need that inner nathes. That's that will. That's that inner friction to get things done, right? But at the very least, we need to have a sense of shared purpose. So we see with the 8 that we're willing to take that struggle now. We're willing to explore new opportunities, and we're well prepared emotionally for that. We know the direction we need to be going in, right? One that goes together with each other in the shared purpose, right? And when you have that, see, then it results in emotional fulfillment and success. Again, the cycle continuing, right? So we have ingus or inguas, however you wish to pronounce it. It can also be drawn as 2 X's, one on top of the other, like a DNA strand. This is the seed. It is the 22nd rune of the Elder Futhark. Therefore, it has a 22 energy, which is a master number is known as the cosmic builder. It is the most powerful number in the it's the most powerful number in numerology. The 22 is. Even more so than 33, which is Christ consciousness, because this is cosmic manifestation. So what are we going to manifest? Are we going to manifest disharmony? Are we going to manifest the isms? Or are we going to manifest love and unity? With ingus, it's a sudden expansion of energy. We have this ability now, this awareness now, to understand what happened to us, and to make a different choice, and to choose life together versus life apart. The path may not be easy, but we're well prepared for it. Well, looks like Leak Project just came up. It's live. Something about brain-eating mosquitoes and 100,000 fires in the Amazon. Again, more things to worry about than the isms, right? We got things to take care of. So let's do the geomancy rune here, and we'll see what it has for us today to wind this up. We're doing pretty good on time. Well, again, I'm getting Vaya again, which is all single dots, and I'll show that to you. Again, it's indicating a new path or a new direction. It's this one, this particular one here. We've had this already this week via it's all active, and it's put in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And so we're looking at all active principles here. So it's a new direction. Vaya means way or path. Populus, it's opposite, which is 2 dots. in all of those positions. You're looking at that particular thing as the crowd or following the crowd. It's an allowing type or a passive type of an influence, whether this is more an active type of a influence. And so here, or rather with populace, you would be following along with the crowd. Here, you're paving your own path, and we're establishing a new way forward together. So, as opposed to just, following along with, the status quo. So I think that aligns well today. Together, all of it. What are we going to manifest? The cosmic builder with Ingwas or Ingus. I think it's just manifesting a new way forward. I mean, aren't we tired of all the conflict and the drama? I mean, there's even, there's even new derangement syndromes being described, of how worn out we all are. The drama has just been too much. If you consider that it likely began, the current drama in, say, 2015, we're looking at 4 years of this at least. And people are tired of the conflict. They're tired of the deception. They're tired of suddenly finding that it's almost like the worst expression of the country is being offered instead of the best expression of the country. And it's divisive and it's harmful and it needs to end. Yesterday, when we have these big events that we remember, 9/11 was so traumatic, in so many ways. And everything that happened subsequently, all of the financial crashing that went on, all of the deception in the mortgage industry, the deception with money, we didn't evidently work that out. We're seeing that with that intercepted, Sagittarius intercepted in the second house right now. You're looking at the notion of how do we resolve this whole thing of possessions, and how much of our self-worth has been derived by either having them or not having them. How does that then affect our relationships with others? We see that, with Gemini in the 8th house, even though that there's nothing there, is it symbolizing, well, we're not having very good relationships with others? Are the boundaries so bad now that what's really happening here? Is it even fixable? Some people ask, Well, I believe that it is fixable. I believe it's simply a choice, and we have to just make a different one. We can sit and live in the pity party of it all, or we can get up off our butts and get outside and start looking around and seeing what we can do to make a difference and to come together with people in unity and harmony and in shared purpose. I think that when that happens, I think you have the 10 of Cups. That's what you have. You have the energy of the 10 of Cups. Joy and abundance and harmony and love and compassion and all of that. All of the things that seem to be missing right now. We just have to make a different choice. Understand what we have, understand the resources that we do have, the emotional resources that we have, the commitment we can make to one another, and take that journey away from what no longer is working, that represents the past, and look for something new. It may not be an easy path to take. It may not be something that will happen overnight, but it's something that is going to happen. It has to. Humanity and consciousness and energy and all of it, has a funny way of doing that, doesn't it? Of balancing itself out. Water seeks its own level, right? Well, the same here. We're going to find our balance, and it's either going to be an easy road or a not so easy road. We cannot ignore the need to do it, though. So hopefully that's sort of the message that people took yesterday from 9/11, that It's like something needs to shake us out of our illusion. And maybe just thinking back to what that was like. You know, if you were alive during that time, what was it like? If you were an adult during that time, what was it like? Think about it, and think about where we are today. And is this where we should be? Where we can't even have compassion for children on the migrant children on the border. We can't even do that. We can't even give them proper food and shelter and clothing and medical supplies and vaccines. And something is lost. We need to find it. And it's simply a choice. That's all it's ever been, is just a choice. So maybe we'll choose to manifest something new today, something that brings us closer instead of forces us apart. So in any event, this is Thursday, so I will not see you again until Monday. Again, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming. If you've come back, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't clicked subscribe yet, please do that and join our Tarot and Rune family and come back. Leave comments in the comments if you want to. If you have a different interpretation or a different idea of what this is, what we've talked about, put it in there. You know, I'm just giving you my perspective on this. Okay, some of it is traditional stuff, some of it isn't. So some of it's traditional interpretation that other tarot readers might say, but that doesn't mean it's the right one for you. It could be that there's something going on in your life or something you're aware of that, you know, something here sparks something. And if you want to share it, do it. It could impact someone else's day in a most profound way. So please do. Please share all of your insights and all of your questions. And I promise to answer. So anyhow, I promise to respond. Anyhow, and hopefully other people will too. I guess my goal here has always been to get a dialogue going. I tried to do this initially live, but I couldn't. My Wi-Fi here is weird, and so I've done everything I can, from getting a new router to, I mean, doing everything I can, and I still can't effectively do a live one of these. And so I gave up, and I even bought another laptop so that there would, just a Windows-based one instead of my Mac. And so I mean, I do this in a way that I wish I could do the live thing. But when I did, I noticed one thing that I did is I would get sidetracked by comments, and I'd want to like stop and respond to them right then. And so realistically, I couldn't look at any of that when I was doing it. So anyway, I just finally decided to just tape them and upload them, and then just go back and hopefully somebody will want to talk about stuff, and we can do that at that time. So anyhow, that's why I do it this way, because I couldn't evidently walk and chew gum at the same time like other people can do. I watch other people that do these things live, and they talk to people, and it's great. And I wanted to do that, but I can't. I'm not capable of it. So I'm so sorry. So I'll do it after the fact. Anyhow, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.